Hey guys, Felicia here. Before we start the show, I want you to do me a quick favor. Can you hit that like button? Can you hit that subscribe button? Can you leave me a written review? If you've been listening to this show, you love this show. If you've had a coaching session with me and you rocking with me and this show has helped you, please let the people know. Please write a review. This helps other people know about the show. Also, go share this with somebody. Don't keep all this goodness to yourself. Because I'm telling you, like even in today's episode, gems are about to be dropped. Don't hoard the gems. Share. The more gems you share, the more gems you'll get. It's the law of the universe. Okay? All right. Now let's start the show. Welcome to the Trill MBA show. I'm your host, Felicia Ann Rose Anuha, aka the Trillest MBA you will ever know. And I'm here to help you survive and thrive in corporate America by giving you the truth and being as real as only I can be. Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Guess what? It's that time of year, y'all. First of all, they had pumpkin stuff in the store in August. So, and pumpkin spice ain't got nothing to do with pumpkins, but whatever. I'm not going to go off on that tangent. But listen, it is that time of year where we need to start talking about your performance reviews at the end of the year.
Anything but that!
I know it's a sucky subject because half the time they done changed a bunch of shit around. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is you might not even had any objectives in the system at all anyway. Y'all might not even have a system to put objectives in. Like, the whole thing might just be a whole pile of bullshit and a farce. However, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to deep dive into the most important thing that you really do need to focus on every year, because this is going to be the engine that helps you drive yourself up the career ladder. And what is that? Objectives. I know. Listen. Let me tell you. Objectives are so important. They're the thing that you struggle to write every year and then you make up some bullshit. And let's be honest, a lot of y'all out here just making up stuff, or your manager cascades them down from his manager and her manager before her. And then you just, say, okay, well, I'm going to do this. And then everybody forgets about that and goes off and gets lost in the sauce of the chaos that most of the time your leadership team causes because nobody's paying attention to objectives. But I'm telling you, if you pay attention, objectives can become a superpower, a force to be reckoned with for you in your company. And so I'm going to break down what are objectives exactly, because some of y'all might not even have ever set objectives or had objectives, or, you heard about it, right? That might be you. And we're going to talk about how to write these objectives and how to set yourself up for the year using your objectives. And I'm telling you, when you get disciplined in all this, you'll be a force to be reckoned with. Not that you aren't already. This just, 2X's your game plan. That's all I'm saying. So today, we're really going to spill some tea about these workplace objectives.
Why?
It's okay. I got y'all. It doesn't have to be the drudgery that it's always been. I'm going to make it fun.
Really? Well, I'll be.
So now, let's get into it. First, I want to talk about why you need to understand workplace objectives. This is crucial, okay? So one thing I want you to understand is objectives aren't just these fancy bullet points. on your performance review, right? Like, think of it as a GPS. I don't know about you, but especially when I'm in LA, I always have to use my GPS. I don't know where I'm going. And if I don't have a guide or a roadmap to tell me how to get from point A to point B to point C and back home, I'm going to be spinning my wheels. And if you don't have objectives, it's basically like you're driving on the highway with a blindfold on. I don't know about you, but that accident is definitely going to be your fault. Like, you won't be able to blame nobody else. So here's the deal. We got to get this right. Okay? Because you're not just a passenger in your car. You're not just a passenger in your career journey. You are the driver. You are in the driver's seat. So I want you to take out your GPS and let's make sure that you're going where you're trying to go. And it's going to be a great ride. Okay? So the most important thing that you need to know about why objectives are so critical is because it's not just corporate lingo and it's not just a buzzword. And the problem is we're made to believe that because the people who have power and the people who know the power of objectives and they know how to use their objectives, they know how to write their objectives, they understand the company's culture and the system. And so they use this to their advantage. They are not trying to teach anybody else about this. Okay? So it's not just this thing that you have to do and everybody hates it. Do you notice at work how everybody moans and groans when it's that time of year and HR is on you to get your shit in the system, but then there's not a lot of help? Or there might be, in some organizations, there's these guys that tell you, this is how you write a SMART objective. This is how you write a SMART goal. Yeah, it feels that way. But don't sleep. This shit's really important. Like, more important than you'll ever thought. So just ride with me. Because I'm going to break it down a little bit more when we get back from the break. Hey there, travel enthusiasts. Are you tired of struggling to find hair and skincare products that cater to your unique needs while on the go? Look no further than blacktravelbox.com. Black Travel Box is your one-stop shop for travel-sized natural hair and skincare products, specifically curated for Black travelers. No more settling for generic products that don't work for your hair type or skin tone. Whether you're jet setting to a tropical island or embarking on a cross-country road trip, Black Travel Box has you covered with their convenient and TSA-approved travel kit. Plus, by supporting Black Travel Box, you're not just getting high-quality products, but you're also supporting a Black-owned business that is dedicated to promoting inclusivity in the travel industry. So, travel in confidence, style, and grace with Black Travel Box. Visit blacktravelbox.com now and get ready to slay your next trip. Don't let your beauty routine suffer while you explore the world. And hey guys, let me tell you, Black Travel Box products are amazing, especially that body butter. Listen, I got a promo code for you. Use the code JETSET. That's JETSET, all caps, JETSET. And you can get a discount from Black Travel Box because of who? The Trillis MBA. Happy travels, beautiful people. Now, let's get back to the show. All right, guys. Now, I want to talk about what are the type of objectives that you are going to come up against in the workplace. Like, you hear KPIs, you hear OKRs, you hear all this jargon and all these words. But before we go deep into what all that is, I want us to pump the brakes for a second. We've got to define what objectives actually are so that we're all on the same page. Okay? Now, what are objectives? Well, let's break it down. academic style, if you will, but without the boring lecture. Like, I'm not going to lecture y'all. So objectives are specific, quantifiable, and achievable goals, right? That has a time period. And basically, these are things that you are going to write down, right? And it's either individual, team, project-based, or company-wide objectives. So think of them as your mission statement, but broken down into bite-sized chunks that you can snack on throughout the year, which means you should be revisiting them throughout the year too. Simply put, objectives are your career cheat codes.
You really did it!
Just like in video games, they unlock levels for you, help you score those bonus points. They level you up. Without objectives, you're pretty much button mashing, like Nintendo. You just mashing the buttons real fast, hoping something cool happens. And let's be real, we're way too fabulous to just be smashing a bunch of buttons and hoping something sticks. Like, that's not how this works. So understand, objectives are for you to guide yourself through the organization. Okay? Now, let's talk about how objectives are talked about in the organization. Mainly, you'll hear two acronyms and, people trying to sound cool. Well, what are the KPIs? Do you know your OKRs? You should know them offhand. Let's talk about what this shit is. First off, you have KPIs. These are key performance indicators. And yes, your work can have key performance indicators. So, for example, let's say one of the objectives that you have for the year is to launch a campaign for a new product or launch a new product. One of the KPIs will be how much volume did you sell to customers? If you work in CPG and you're selling a product that goes into stores like Walmart or e-commerce like Amazon or Target or what have you. So how many units did you sell? That would be a key performance indicator. And it would be how many units did you sell in the first year of launch or from launch to date of, end of year when you're evaluating your objectives, right? I hope this all makes sense. If this doesn't sound familiar to you, definitely hit me up, especially if you work in a corporate, pretty good sized company, because a lot of times big corporations have tools for this. If you work in government or nonprofit, or you work for a smaller organization, you should still be doing a process or having some type of process in place where you're writing key performance indicators for your projects and what, you're tasked with getting accomplished for the year. So if you don't, or if you're struggling, hit us up, ask@trilliumba.com, and we will definitely help you, not just through listening to the show, but we will definitely help you get to the nitty-gritty of how do you implement this process into your work situation. Because when you do this, when you understand what are my key performance indicators, what it helps is it helps to get rid of the subjectivity in your work. So it takes down a notch that little devil that your boss could have on her shoulder that tries to say, I don't think Felicia's really doing that great of a job. And then you can come back and you can say, well, I'm meeting my key performance indicator, which is our sales goal, by 100%. And we're projected to overshoot by 110% by the end of the year. Then what you gonna say? Because I'm meeting and beating my objectives. And so the key performance indicator says, and then these are the numbers. So it's very hard to be subjective about a concrete idea as numbers. So understand your key performance indicators should be very concrete items that you can evaluate. how you made the company money, how you saved the company money. So key performance indicators will always be a track record of that progress. And so you always want to say, okay, we need to make, $100 million, or we need to save $30 million this year in this initiative that we're launching. And then you track it. So far this year, we've saved $50,000. We're on track to save another $100,000 by the end of Q4. And so I will have beaten my KPI. I know. Key performance indicators are like a report card. A, B, C, D. A is, 90+%. This is definitely adulting for corporate America. So if your KPI is slacking, you got to figure out, make some moves. And that's the only way they can get to you. And when you're not, boom, now what? Then we got OKRs. OKRs are objectives and key results. So OKRs are used typically when maybe it's not so cut and dry, is what I've seen. So it's like, we want to grow awareness of our product. And then you implement, you create a strategy around growing awareness, you execute against the strategy. And then the key result is you should have grown your awareness by X%. And so you'll set your objective of, I want to grow awareness by the end of the year. And then you set, I want to grow awareness by 10% by the end of the year. And so then you just focus on what's the result. And so a lot of times this type of objective is used when it really is a longer term play. Like, not only is it a longer term play, but it also takes time to see the key result come in. And so you just have to track against it and monitor it. And then boom, one day your key result comes in from all your activities that you did to work through the strategy and execute against the strategy. And then you win. And so when you want to think about it, it's like a team goal a lot of times too, right? But if you are the responsible person to make sure the whole team is on track, so a lot of times people managers will have goals like this because it takes a little bit longer time. It takes a team effort to achieve that key result that you're looking for. So you just have to stay on it when you have OKRs because sometimes they get a little slippery. And there are others, but those are the main two that I've seen. And when I work with my coaching clients that we talk about a lot, KPI is usually the main one, but there are other types of objectives. So there's management by objectives. That's MBOs. I don't hear this as much. I've heard it, but not like it's been a one-off. But basically, this is that whole trickle down objectives, right? So it's like, my manager has this objective and I got to be in sync with my manager. So now this is my objective. And if you're not in sync with your manager, like, you're going to look foolish. And we all know we're not going to be the ones that's looking foolish. So you take his objective, you make sure in his objective that you are responsible for a specific thing that you can get done. So that's the tricky part about these types of objectives that roll down. So you want to make sure that it's something you're responsible for and that you can meet as a part of his bigger objectives. I hope this all makes sense. Okay, so now that we've talked about what objectives are, and we've talked about the different types of objectives, the main types of objectives you're going to see and make, when we come back from the break, I'm going to talk about the most important thing you need to understand for this episode. And the biggest takeaway is how you're going to navigate your career and your personal brand using objectives when we get back from the break. Hey guys, Felicia here. I just want to say I appreciate all of our new Patreons. And I hope you're enjoying our worksheets. We've uploaded a worksheet around internal networking. We've got a checklist to help you determine if it's time for you to leave your job. We also have Michael Pittman's handy dandy work style worksheet, which is so clutch when you are having issues with your coworker or your manager. You really should do it like when you first start the job and you meet them. But hey, listen, you can always grab that worksheet and ask that person to fill it out. You fill it out, and then you guys meet and talk through your actual preferred work styles. And it helps you get a grounding and an understanding. And it also humanizes you for them, and it also humanizes them for you. It's a great exercise to go through with anybody you have to really work with and really be in the trenches with. I love that guy. Thank you, Michael Pittman. You are boss. Listen, if you're not a part of our Patreon, you don't get those resources. So, I mean, come on, guys. What are you waiting for? Come help us continue to make this show, but then also get this good material and these good guides. I got y'all. Actually, I'm going to make an objective setting guide for this series that we're doing about objectives to help you guys make better objectives and to make sure you're using your objectives in the most powerful ways. So that's more to come. But yeah, I'm excited. Thank you again. If you are a Patreon member, I appreciate you. And go tell your friends. Like, don't keep all this good stuff for yourself. Now let's wrap up the show. All right, guys. Let's get back to these objectives and how you use your objectives to navigate your personal brand. So listen, I know it feels like corporate objectives are just, this is just the thing we have to do. But you got to understand, most important thing. When you strategically choose objectives that align not just with what the company wants, but with what you want for your career, this becomes a powerful way to drive your internal narrative in the organization. Because not only do your objectives speak to what you're doing to add value to the organization, your objectives also speak to the person that you are when you use them and couch in your objectives your personal narrative, your personal brand. So, for example, you can write an objective that says, this year, strategically, we are going to deploy 3 new campaigns that are targeted to our target customer, and these 3 campaigns will result in a 30% increase in top line revenue for the year. I just made that up, y'all, off the dome. Ride with me. So now that I've set that objective, all throughout the year, I run around the building. Maybe literally, probably not. But I run around and every conversation I'm having, I'm like, I'm really excited because this year we're going to increase top line revenue by 30%. Or this year I'm really working to increase top line revenue by 30%. I'm really passionate about this. And I'm going to do this by doing 3 things. And then you bullet point those 3 main things that you want people to know that is your superpower and what you're doing. And that becomes your soundbite. And it's tied to your objectives. And mind you, make sure when you write this objective that you're over delivering. So you're under promising and over delivering on your objective. Okay. And we'll get more into the how to write objectives in the next episode. But for this episode, understand that objectives give you the talking points you need. So when you're in big meetings or you're at networking events, you're not just Felicia from marketing. You're Felicia, the goal slayer, result driving powerhouse. Okay. So that's the foundation of objectives. And that's the biggest thing you need to understand is that these are tools for you to use that strategically place you in a narrative in the organization that then becomes synonymous with who you are and how you work. And so when those objectives are tied to the bigger, larger company objectives, you are seen as more valuable. Even though technically you're just as valuable as everyone in the organization. It's all about the story you tell, guys. Okay? So the most important thing is that setting and achieving the right objectives, you get to arm yourself with a compelling narrative that can set you apart in meetings, networking events, and especially in your performance reviews. And that's the most important thing about objectives. So next week, guys, we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of how to write your objectives. And we're going to get into how to write objectives that drive your narrative in particular. And with that, you will see that objectives shouldn't be something you should bemoan every year. You should be excited because now you're going to work strategically to play your chess game at your company and really focus on how to use objectives to help you drive your career, get you promoted, get more money, all the bags, girl. Okay? All right. So if you need some help or advice about a specific situation, go to trillandba.com/coaching to schedule a 45-minute consult with me to strategize and walk through your specific work situation. In addition, you can always email me at ask@trillandba.com. I'm happy to either answer your question or connect you to the right person if I don't have the answer. Again, that's trillandba.com/coaching to schedule a 45-minute consult with me and ask@trillandba.com to submit your question or concern. All right, guys. Gotta love my handy dandy notes. I feel like I need to get a teleprompter. We'll see. We're not there yet. But until next week, we're going to learn how to write these objectives next week. Keep it Trill. The Trill MBA Show is a Fair World Corp LLC production. Executive produced by Felicia and Rose Inuha. Sound design and editing by Chris Mann with Podshaper. Theme music is Kick Push by Ryan Little. Keep it Trill every day, y'all.